for action when it comes to racial injustices in our society. South Carolina will soon vote on whether to remove the Confederate flag from a State House monument. It's a good start. But on Friday, the president talked about taking the next step with real policy changes in everything from voting rights to schools to criminal justice reform.
Perhaps it softens hearts towards those lost young men. Tens and tens of thousands caught up in the criminal justice system. And lead us to make sure that that system's not infected with bias.
America has more than 1.5 million inmates behind bars right now. That's 25% of the world's prison population right here in the U.S. And the racial disparities are shocking. In this country, 1 in 17 white men will spend time in prison. But for black men, 1 out of 3 will become inmates. But now, there's a new bipartisan push to change our prison system. Perhaps the most ambitious reform bill in a generation. It comes from Democratic Congressman Bobby Scott and Republican Congressman Jim Sensenbrenner. The bill would cut sentences for drug crimes, give judges more authority in deciding sentences, reduce sentences for some current inmates, and reduce sentences for people with good behavior. The Republican sponsor says the current prison system is, quote, not only fiscally unsustainable, but morally irresponsible. And the Democratic sponsor, Congressman Bobby Scott, is joining me now. Thank you for being here.
It's good to see you, Reverend Al.
Congressman, is there a growing consensus now across party lines that we need to address this problem?
Well, I think you mentioned the fact that we have 25% of the inmates. We only have 5% of the population. The incarceration rate has gotten to the point where many recent studies have said it's actually counterproductive. We've got so many people in jail, you're messing up so many families, you got so many people with felony records, and you're wasting so much money that you're actually adding to crime, not doing anything about crime. And so on the federal level, it's gotten so bad that we don't even know how many crimes we've created. We've been codifying slogans and sound bites time and time again, run up the incarceration rate, and they have found that this incarceration rate has not reduced crime. In fact, as I said, it's counterproductive. What we have come together, Democrats and Republicans, have noticed that if you get away from the slogans and sound bites, there's a lot of common ground. Many states, Democratic-run states and Republican-run states, have had experiences where they have actually reduced incarceration, saved money, and had initiatives that actually reduced the crime rate. And what we did in Washington as a bipartisan basis, established in the House Judiciary Committee a overcriminalization task force where we looked at the entire criminal justice system to see from prevention and early intervention all the way to parole reform, what we can do to reduce crime and save money in a cost-effective manner.
I want to push on that because you have 20 co-sponsors, 10 Republicans and 10 Democrats, people from Congressman Elijah Cummings all the way to Congressman Ted Yoho. How did you get people of such opposite point of view on board here?
Well, once you get away from the slogans and sound bites, it's easy because you're faced with initiatives that will reduce crime and save money. It's hard to disagree, but you have to get away from the slogans. I mean, the initiatives that reduce crime and save money do not produce the emotionally charged slogans and sound bites that some of the foolishness does. I mean, some of the slogans will actually increase the crime rate. There have been studies that many of them increase the crime rate. And so once you decide to get away from the slogans and get to the evidence, you're faced with a series of initiatives that will reduce crime and save money. And that's something that I think everybody can agree on.
And you're dealing with real people because earlier this month I spoke to a woman who was granted clemency by the President Obama after serving 20 years on drug charges. Listen to her talk about what it means to her.
I want to be the voice for all the hundreds of others that with the same situations as me that are still in prisons waiting for their second chance. There are good people in prison that deserve a second chance, and we can get out and become successful people in society. And I'm going to prove that correct, and I'm going to prove the naysayers wrong. We can do it.
A second chance, Congressman, is that what your bill is about for many people and families who are affected by this?
Well, if you look at the president's commutation initiative, he has a program where if you've served 10 years for a low-level, nonviolent drug offense, low-level, nonviolent, where you do not have a significant role in the operation, and you have virtually no criminal record, he will consider you for commutation. Well, you got to wonder, if you're a low-level first offender, no violence, how'd you get 10 years to begin with? The answer is these mandatory minimums that were not designed to be inflicted on low level. They were designed to be imposed on the people that are actually running the operation. But you've got so many people in jail. Most of the people in jail today are on drug offenses, and most of them have mandatory minimum sentences where they're getting sentences that violate common sense. We want to impose them on who it's needed, and the fact that people are getting these kinds of sentences on low-level offenses shows what the problem is.
Yeah. Congressman Bobby Scott, I thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you.
Straight ahead, we'll look at a week